2 Eagles on the ground. The kick not so good. Betts a half chance, trying to find Robinson. In comes Rosa, kicks it back to midfield. Thornton in best position.
Gee, they're in trouble here too. They've got 2 West Coast Eagles defenders down at the moment.
Yep, Trainer's out to the Eagles on the far side. Well, I think one of them has got up. Yep.
Thanks, Dean.
Meantime, Robinson, a little chip, and Brown's got the ball.
Thanks, Alan.
So who is that in the hands of the Trainers on the far side? Is it McGinnity?
Yep. Here's the injury.
He is fearless, McGinnity.
Bang, straight into almost the rib cage there.
To McKenzie.
McKenzie, yeah, it must have been his head that collected there first.
McGinnity and McKenzie.
Thank you.
Here's Brown. 35 metres out. Oh, another West Perth man knows how to kick them. Brown.
There's plenty of time for the West Coast Eagles defence to reorganise itself here, but they just allowed this space over the back. You watch this kick going forward here. Robinson on the end of it. This is the most important kick in footy. This last kick inside 50 to the bloke who's going to mark it and be able to have a shot for goal. The West Coast Eagles had actually zoned off. They weren't playing man on man, but there was just no one in that part of the ground guarding that space.
It's McGinnity, Patrick McGinnity. Had the jaw broken early last year, didn't he? And he's a tough player, but big margin in the match. 20 scoring shots to 8 probably reflects what we're seeing now. So let's see what West Coast can make of this. Well done by Nat Nui. It was a terrific tap down to Selwood, even in heavy traffic.
Get in, drag it in.
Well, think about Nat Nui's touch work here again. He actually just hits the ball really softly as well to the right space. But as an Eagles midfielder, you can confidently go to those spaces that you want to attack through, because 9 out of 10 times he actually gets his hand there first again.
Carazzo, and then scooped it up. It's a free kick.
Shannon Hearn on the full now.
There's no pace in there, though, Tim, is there, in that centre square, really? They're just all one paces, the Eagles.
No, they haven't got the mix that they would like in there.
Hadley to Walker. Seen a lot of Walker off half-back. Gee, that's a bullet. And Betts was good enough to take the mark.
He's got great hands, Eddie Betts. That's a hard mark to take.
And he was at full pace, wasn't he? And stretched for his size. So back to Walker. Long ball in. Oh, Halcombe, well done, Wilkes. That's a good contested mark.
Now they should be able to mount something here on the turnover.
Embley gone.
Oh.
Well, we'll give Garland a little mark for closing, but you've got to take something off the ball carrier there.
You've got to have awareness, though, don't you? I mean, you've got to have a quick look behind to see what might be coming. There were Eagles players around, but he's an experienced player, Andrew Embley.
Forward 50 tackles at 20-5.
And only 9 Carlton were able to hit last week, so that would have been an area of concentration this week.
So Garland, who kicked a couple of goals against the Eagles in his only other match, gets his first, and the game's getting to be a blowout now. 3 second-half goals all to the Blues.
Mitch Robinson, as you'd expect, right in the middle of all that, but you'd expect here the West Coast Eagles actually, as a turnover, it was a really good mark by Wilkes, that they would have been able to mount some sort of a counter-attack. They had plenty of time for Embley to find the space. He went to the first option. You see his eyes there and his head move. He went out wide for the first option, which is the option he should have taken, and then he was about to just refocus his gaze back into the middle of the ground, but that's great play by Garland.
So a bit of niggle after the goal too, and of course the West Coast Eagles realise that's not on anymore. It's a thing of the past. So how do you niggle the opposition these days? I've got a theory, Tim. Remind me. We might get back to that. In comes Robinson. That's how desperate we are. One of my theories. Murphy over the top. McLean in trouble. Slips a hand pass away. Robinson. They are queuing up. They are queuing up. He's hit the post.
He deserved a goal.
Now, what about the imbalance in possessions? Carlton up to 275. West Coast Eagles 186. It's almost 100 midway through the third term.
Robinson actually got that ball out of the centre in the first place and then worked down the ground as they possess the ball to be on the end of it.
So Butler to himself, drives it outside the defensive 50. That's a good mark. Well, McKenzie dropped it. Brown's got it. He got it from Murphy. Look at this. 2 men on the 50. Gibbs will kick it. Beautiful skills. The difference.
Tim, he reminded me so much of Goddard then. Just the way he took the footy and kicked it.
He reminds me of 2 players. He reminds me a little bit of Nathan Buckley, the way that he is in control, but also Goddard, you're right. But once again, it was their spread around the contest and their speed. They've really been able to chop the West Coast Eagles up with their speed. I mean, we're talking about a massive gap. Dennis spoke about a moment ago about the disposals gap as well.
Jacobs did well, and now here's Betts again. A handball to Cruiser, back to Scotland. Well, Scotland can score another goal from here, gets up and under. He just got squeezed up. He's played 133 of the 143 games that he's been at the Blues. He's been so durable. Gee, Jacobs did well then, and Betts roving it. So the kick out wide, Wilkes. And then Wilkes' slow ball.
They should be out here.
And Shepherd should get it to Swift, so a couple of the youngsters combined.
Swift at the interchange gates. And that imaginary conversation, Bruce, you were reporting on, I think Juddy might have said, I'm glad I'm not there.
But you can come to us.
They were the good times, yes. Butler's got it. Kicks inside the forward 50. Lacroix in front. Takes the mark.
That was such a smart kick there by Butler.
Now, just breaking down these numbers, I've not seen this sort of differential, I don't think ever before, Tim. You keep an eye on them as the game rolls along.
The disposals now, nearly 100 difference between the 2 teams.
Not one player on the West Coast Eagles team has had 20 possessions. The highest there is 16 for Andrew Embley. So 100 means the other crowd have got 5 20 possession players that you haven't got, in effect. They're running around with 5 extras. We need a head count. In comes Lacroix and kicks the goal. He's got 3.
And that's one area where they've actually shaded Carlton this afternoon. That's their marks inside 50, and an area that coming into this game you thought that Carlton was going to be so much better than the West Coast Eagles, but it really was the kick that forced the player to go to where he wanted the ball to go to, and that's where the space was. And I think it was it Cox coming out from the top of the square there who actually shielded his direct opponent, the defender, against making sure that he had an impact on Lacroix.
Well, in round 10 last year, he kicked 6 goals. That was the only time he'd played against Carlton. He's got 3 so far today, Lacroix. But they need a whole lot more. He's kicked half their goals so far. Kennedy's got a couple. But Carlton dominating this match everywhere now. And Cruiser and Cox. Cox later down, well read by McLean. And then Embley gets hold of him.
High ball, no prior.
Down to you, Richo.
Well, besides the obvious midfield dominance today, which is outstanding for the Blues, just highlights the different forward line structures. Carlton's unpredictable. When the ball hits the ground, they've got dangerous players on the ground, whereas in the Eagles forward line, every player in their forward line is essentially a marking player. Even the smaller guys are still hit up forwards, so they really need to find some crumbing, tackling forwards for the future, the Eagles.
I mean, for a Phil Matera or somebody like that on that Eagle forward line, but they haven't got him. Garlett's been impressive. A bit of an up and under. Halpin comes in very late and gives a free kick away.
Waters.
There's always a metre too far back, Halpin, to really influence the contest. You can see him there.
Well, Waters should be influencing the contest because he's the free player now back across half-back. Gibbs is it for Carlton at the other end.
See, that was a terrible kick to McGinnity. And then Judd, that's clever. Beautiful kick inside. He might get it back from O'Halpin. He's running hard. No, Satanta comes back inboard to Simpson.
Hold!
Simpson, not big numbers for him today, but probably a slightly different role. He's got enough mates that have got the big numbers, as we've talked about. Decides to go to full forward. Henderson getting set, and then Butler belting it away. Butler's one of those 6 that played in the Premiership in 06 out there today for the Eagles.
I was just going to mention about O'Halpin's kicking, though, too. There's real confidence in his own kicking. We've seen him kick the ball diagonally on a number of occasions, left foot and right foot.
Round the outer side, Selwood's kick bounces to Cruiser. Gets a hand pass off. McLean. Still going, McLean, after trying to give it back to Anderson. And the umpire decides to ball it up. Now, who's running with Judd at the moment? Going into the forward line moments ago, it was young Shepherd who was running with him.
I think it's still, it looks like Selwood's got him at the stoppage.
He has got him. After it goes Pritis again, how many times does he get his hands on the ball first at clearances? He's quite remarkable, actually. Here's Judd.